I walked in on my girlfriend of 10 years cheating on me with her colleague. Now I don't know what to do. I, 28M, arrived back from work early on Tuesday to see that one of my girlfriend's 28F colleague was visiting 30M. I walked in, heard a bit of a scramble, walked into the lounge, and I saw that they both were uncovered from the waist down. She had obvious messy hair, and more than anything else just looked shocked. He couldn't even look at me. It took me a few seconds for me to realize what was happening. I just said, "Oh," and walked out of the house. Him visiting wasn't unusual because they had spent a lot of time together recently, alone and as part of a group. Playing video games online, going on nights out, and so on. I chose to trust her whilst all of this was going on, because she was always very upfront and honest with what was happening. Like when she went out for a group event, she had to share a hotel room with another male mutual friend to save money, and she ran it past me to make sure that I was okay with it. Not to mention that she had spent the last 2 years calling this guy a loser for a variety of reasons, and he was in a 3-year-long relationship of his own, so I honestly never saw him as a threat. After he left, we sat down and talked it through. She says she was depressed, and after a recent low point in our relationship, she caught feelings for her colleague, and has been seeing him behind my back for about a month. I'd thought we were doing better over the last 5 months, and I've recently been really optimistic about our future. Just that morning, we were talking about a future trip away. Just the day before she asked me to collect some storage boxes for our holiday decorations. And that very weekend we had just celebrated her birthday away, and we were having the time of our lives. I can't honestly comprehend that we were enjoying our lives and planning for our immediate future, whilst at the same time she was literally seeing someone behind my back. I don't blame her for catching feelings. I feel like this is a normal human response after spending so long with a person. But I am angry, betrayed and disappointed that she didn't pull herself back from this situation before she did anything definitive, and I'm devastated that she didn't even have the courage to tell me before I found out through sheer coincidence. We've been together for almost 10 years. We live together. We built a life together 150 miles away from the rest of our friends and family. We had plans for the future. I just feel disappointed and betrayed. Whenever I look around my house, I see her, or her impact on my life. Even the stuff that I love, I've shared with her, so when I think about trying to distract myself with something that I enjoy, my mind goes straight to her and our memories. She's burrowed into every aspect of my life, and the thought of ripping her out will leave a gaping hole in every part of me, and completely wrecks my vision for the future. Not to mention the logistical headache of finding somewhere else to live. To put it plainly, I don't want to grieve the last 10 years of my life, and the majority of my 20s. I said to her that I might be able to see a future for us, and I might be able to forgive her, but only on the condition that she cuts him out of her life completely, though I understand that she works with him, so this would be impossible from a professional level. I'm also certain that this might be difficult considering her friendship group, but frankly that's not my problem. She says she will need some time to think things through, which on one hand is completely understandable, but on the other makes me feel terrible that our 10-year life together is on the same scale as some 2-year friendship turned fling. Update. The next morning I told her that I wanted to give her time to think things through. I really couldn't cope with waiting around for an answer, so I pushed her to decide between him or me, again with the condition that she cut contact with him immediately, completely and permanently. She said that she would prioritize our relationship, and would cut him off. She went to work, and afterwards met a friend for a few hours to talk things through. I picked her up afterwards, and she was drunk and high, and just silently cried herself to sleep when we got home. Yesterday, she went back to work, and afterwards we sat down and had a conversation about next steps. She basically said that she had initially wanted to cut him off to appease me. She felt like she couldn't actually cut anyone off. She said that she had not necessarily fallen out of love with me, but she is simply more attracted to someone else at the moment. She says that she needs some time and space to think things through, and figure out what she wants. So we're officially on a break. I've traveled 150 miles back to see my family, and I am hoping to stay here for a week, and get some time off work while I process what is going on. I've told her that I'm not going to contact her while I'm away. If we still live together, she wants to basically divide the house in two, so that we can both have our own individual spaces. She says that no matter what happens, she doesn't see her life without me in it. But what do I want? The idea of seeing her with someone else is honestly revolting, but I do expect her to move on in time, if not immediately. So the natural continuation of that line of thought is to cut her out of my life completely, but after 10 years she became more than just my partner, but also my best friend and a member of our family. The thought of losing all three simultaneously is just too painful to think about. As I mentioned, we built a life together where we were, but truth be told, I never really made any friends down there. This had always been fine with me because I was always satisfied with her company, but this leaves me in a bit of a sticky situation, because now I am also facing the reality of either needing to quit my job, which I love, if I do want to move away to be closer to my friends and family, or get another house by myself in a place that I have no other connection to, just to continue my career. I'm just so sad and angry that last week I basically knew where my life and our lives were going. And now I am facing the very real possibility that my next year will look substantially different to this year, and the logistics of the situation make me want to vomit. I can't believe that she has done this to me. So despite all of this and everything that has happened, I feel so pathetic for just wishing that when I go back home next week, my absence hits her like a truck, and she just has a massive change of heart and takes it all back so that we can just move on with our lives, so I don't have to deal with any of the fallout. But I know that this probably isn't going to happen, and even if it did, I am not sure if that would be the healthiest choice for either of us. I used to read through other posts on this subreddit page, and see other people in similar scenarios, and just look down at the sad and desperate people trying to cling on to what was left of their failing relationship. I never thought it would happen to me, and I just feel so sad, and so desperate. Update. 1 week later. She still doesn't want to cut anyone out. It's been a week since everything happened. I've been staying with my family, trying to get my head straight. The distance has helped in some ways, but it's also made everything feel more real. There's no routine to distract me, no familiar environment tying things together, just a quiet house and too much thinking time. She and I haven't talked much. That was my decision. I told her I needed space, and she said she understood. But yesterday she asked if we could have a video call to check in. I agreed, partly out of guilt, partly because I've spent every day wondering where her head is at. The call was calm. No tears, no arguing. That almost made it worse. She looked tired, like she'd been running on autopilot. She said work felt weird, and that she was trying to process everything. Then she said the thing I'd hoped I wouldn't hear again. She still doesn't want to cut anyone out of her life. Not him, not anyone. She said, I don't want to make decisions based on fear, or regret, or pressure. She said she doesn't want to isolate herself or burn bridges. She said cutting him off completely felt too extreme. And the truth is, hearing that hit harder the second time. Because it tells me she's not unsure. She's not confused. She's not in shock. She's making a deliberate choice. She's choosing a version of her life that includes him, at least emotionally, even if not romantically. And I can't be part of that equation. She keeps trying to soften it, saying things like, I still love you, and, you matter more than anyone, and, I need to figure out who I am before I make commitments. But the reality underneath all of it is simple. She's not choosing me in the way I need to be chosen. She also said something that stuck with me in a way I didn't expect. I don't want to lose you, but I don't want to lose myself either. I'm trying to be fair about that. I don't want to force anyone into a corner. But I also can't sit while she reevaluates her life with another guy still actively in it. We talked for about an hour. By the end of it, she asked where that leaves us. I told her I honestly don't know. I don't hate her. I miss her more than I want to admit. But I can't shake the feeling that she's already mentally stepped out of our relationship, even if she hasn't said the words outright. Before we ended the call, she said she wants to have a serious conversation when I get back, in person, not through a screen. She didn't sound hopeful or defeated. Just neutral, like she already accepted that whatever happens next might hurt. I'm heading back home tomorrow. I'm not sure what I'll be walking into. The idea of seeing her in our house again feels heavy. I don't know if we're going to try to work through this or admit it's over. All I know is, if she still wants him in her life, even in some vague, not romantic, way, then I don't see how we move forward. I deserve someone who chooses me without hesitation. She deserves the space she says she needs. And maybe both things can't exist in the same relationship anymore. Final update. We ended the relationship. I got back home 2 days ago. The drive felt longer than usual, probably because I knew what was waiting for me on the other end. When I walked into the house, it didn't feel like home. It just felt like a place that used to belong to a version of me that doesn't exist anymore. She was in the living room when I came in. She stood up, like she wasn't sure whether to hug me or keep her distance. I just nodded, and we sat down. No yelling. It was just two tired people finally accepting something they'd been avoiding for a long time. She started by saying she'd done a lot of thinking while I was away. She said she felt guilty, confused, overwhelmed, all the expected things. But then she said something that pretty much confirmed what I already felt. I still care about you deeply, but I don't feel the same way I used to. She didn't say she was in love with the other guy. She didn't say she wanted to be with him. She just said she didn't know how to undo what she'd done, or how to rebuild the trust she'd broken. She admitted she didn't see herself cutting him out completely, even if they never became anything. She didn't want to shrink her work life to fit our relationship, and I didn't want to sit in a relationship where I felt like an optional piece. It was a surprisingly adult conversation. We both cried eventually, but it wasn't explosive. It was quiet crying, the kind you do when you're exhausted and grieving something you already know is gone. She said she didn't want to break up with me, she wanted us to figure something out. But every solution she offered still involved me tolerating a situation I couldn't handle. So I told her the truth. I don't hate you, but I can't keep loving you like this. After that, she didn't argue. She just nodded and cried harder. I think it hit her that this was really happening. We agreed that I'll start looking for a new place. I'll stay here for a few weeks while I sort out logistics, but we're sleeping in separate rooms and keeping things civil. It's weird. We're polite, almost too polite. Like we're guests in each other's lives now. She asked if we could still be friends someday. I told her I honestly don't know. 10 years isn't something you file away neatly. I'm not angry enough to cut her out, but I'm not healed enough to promise anything either. Last night, when I went into the kitchen to get water, I found her sitting at the table crying quietly. We didn't talk. I didn't sit down or hold her. We just shared a moment of sadness and then went our separate ways. It hurt, but it also made something very clear. We were done a long time before either of us said it out loud. I'm heartbroken, but I'm also relieved. There's no more guessing, no more hoping she'll wake up one day and choose me, no more waiting for answers that never come. 1 month later, Moving on has been harder than I expected. It's been about a month since the breakup, and I thought I'd come back with an update because the last few weeks have been a lot. Not dramatic, just quietly difficult in a way I didn't fully anticipate. I moved out about 2 weeks ago. I'm renting a small place closer to my job. Nothing fancy, just functional. The first night I slept there, I felt this overwhelming silence. No familiar sounds, no shared routines, no little background noises that I had gotten used to over a decade. Just me in a bed that didn't feel like mine yet. I didn't realize how much 10 years of memories could hang in the air like fog. The day I moved out, she helped me carry a few boxes to the car. We didn't talk much, but she cried the entire time. I didn't. I think I was too numb to process anything. It wasn't until I pulled away from the driveway that the weight of everything finally hit. I had to pull over a few streets down. Since then, the emotional roller coaster hasn't been dramatic, it's been more like a slow burn. Some days I wake up feeling surprisingly okay, like I'm actually looking forward to building a new life. Other days, something tiny hits me like a truck. A song we used to play, a meal I realize I don't know how to cook because she always made it, or even just the instinct to text her something funny and then remembering I don't have to do that anymore. It's strange how grief works. It doesn't show up all at once. It creeps in around the edges. The hardest part hasn't been the anger or even the betrayal anymore. It's the emptiness, the habit of having someone to share life with, the instinct to turn to her, even though she's not mine to turn to anymore. I didn't expect moving on to feel like unlearning a language I was fluent in. I've been trying to keep myself busy. I'm going to the gym more, reconnecting with a few old friends I drifted from, trying to build some sort of routine. It helps, but it doesn't fix the underlying issue. She and I haven't talked except for one message she sent the day after I moved out. She said she hoped I was settling in okay. I responded politely but briefly. She hasn't reached out since. I think we both silently agreed that distance is the healthiest thing for us. And honestly, I don't think she's doing as well as she pretends. A mutual friend mentioned she looks pretty drained and hasn't been hanging out with her usual group. I don't know if that's because of me, or him, or everything all at once. I'm not sure I want to know. Some part of me still cares, but another part of me knows that knowing too much will pull me backwards. The weirdest thing is how quickly life keeps moving forward even when you're emotionally stuck. Bills still need to be paid. I'm not over her. I'm not sure when I will be. But I am moving forward, even if it's slowly. If there's anything this month taught me, it's that you don't just move on from losing a relationship, you move on from the version of yourself that existed inside that relationship. And that takes time. I don't have some big inspiring conclusion. I'm not suddenly thriving. I'm not dating again. I haven't found myself, or whatever people like to write in neat endings. I'm just trying, and for now, that's enough.